Hey, welcome to another Charger Central. How's it going, Levon?
Doing good. How about you?
Good, good. Ready for this game?
Yeah, it should be a fairly easy game to win, but never take a team for granted, as we've seen last year.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the Titans? I think they've gotten an upgrade with Mason Rudolph at quarterback, but I don't think it'll matter against the Chargers defense.
Yeah, this should be a win when you look at it. But they do have some talented players, so you can't sleep on this team. You got Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, Mason Rudolph, and we have some familiarity with this team. We have kind of a lot of tight ends. Joe Hortiz has brought over, so that should help us too. But yeah, you look at their record. You look at how well the Chargers have been playing. You got to get this win. You can't drop this one.
Yeah, no, definitely cannot drop this one because after this, you play the Bengals, Ravens, Buccaneers, Chiefs. It's going to be pretty tough, and the Falcons in Atlanta. So it's going to be tough stretch for them. But as long as they take care of business Sunday, you already had 6 wins. And then you take care of business the last 2, that's 8. So you just need really 2 here in this tough stretch. And also the Broncos, week 16, that should be a win. So there are a lot of ways for this team to make the playoffs. I think they will. But you just have to take care of these easy games. And I think the Titans are that easy matchup. That offense, they're okay. Calvin Ridley, he's their main target. Okonkwo hasn't really been involved as much at tight end, which I'm surprised because they don't have many options right now. Tyler Boyd, I think, is their other wide receiver. He's been pretty quiet too. And then Tajay Spears, I don't think he's going to play Sunday. So Pollard's going to get the workload there. Always a dangerous player, but it's not like the Cowboys' Tony Pollard. So, he's still putting up the numbers because he's the RB1, but that same explosiveness, the same game-changing type plays that he used to make with the Cowboys, I don't think is 100% there anymore. But just, I think the defense is going to hold their own. They did in Cleveland. They will at home against the Titans. And really, if they hold them under 10, not under 10, but under 14 points, let's say, I think, they would have allowed 115 points on the season. That's still lower than the second place right now, which is the Steelers at 119. That just shows how good this defense has been. And we've spoken about this, we spoke about it on Monday. But let's see more of that. I want to see more of, pressure on the quarterback. This is a type of matchup where you can try different things here and see what works, see what doesn't, and cut out what doesn't and roll with what works.
Yeah, the Titans' offense is one of the last ranked offenses in the league, surprisingly, with the weapons they have, but their defense is up there. Especially their pass defense is one of the top in the league. So yeah, you got to shut down their offense, like you said, and let's keep the Chargers offense rolling like it has been lately.
Yeah.
It did stall out a little bit in the third quarter, that last game. They're still learning this offense. They're still getting used to these new players. But let's keep improving. Hopefully we can put up 20 some points again and have that killer defense that, maybe we can hold them to 10 points or less,
Yeah. Keep improving. Obviously that second half has been our Achilles heel this year, except against the Saints, where the first half was our, worst half than the second. But that's really been the only game where it's been like that. But against the Browns, at least in the fourth quarter, they scored. And the Titans defense is good. I would have said I'm a little concerned about that defense, but the way that they played last week against the Browns, who I think their defense is a bit better, I'm not really concerned at home. If this was in Tennessee, it would be a different story, I think, for me. But at home, I'm not really concerned. I think, of course, you have to protect Herbert. We don't want to see what happened last Sunday. You know, you're just asking for an injury, constantly being pressured and being hit. You don't want to see that. So I think that's the main thing for them is protecting Herbert Sunday.
Yeah, and Herbert did say that last game against Cleveland, his ankle did get a little rolled up on one of those hits. So
yeah,
that's not good news to hear because he was looking healthy, running, just making amazing throws. You need to protect him. Yeah. But the good news is it looks like Gus Edwards is coming back soon. We'll see if he's ready for this game, but we need that hammer back that will take some pressure off and open up holes, and that will protect Herbert too.
Yeah, and I think his role is still open with the team because I noticed that Kimani Vidal had 5 carries last game. It doesn't seem like he's going to be one of the primary backs this year, at least. So I would rather see actually Vidal, if he can, possibly as a punt returner instead of Ladd, because you're risking him. And although he doesn't really return the punts, but sometimes you have that opportunity, or Darius Davis, to return those punts, because Ladd out there, I don't know. It's too big of a risk, those punt returns. So
yeah, I'd love to see Didi doing that because he had that huge return last game, that fired the team up, and he has that ability. We've seen that, so many times from him. So it's good getting some guys healthy again. This is the game finally where DJ Chark will play, so we'll see.
Man,
yeah,
like last week we were talking about Chark, and I think it was smart for them to keep him out against Cleveland because now you have a 3-game home stretch. Nice way to kind of get him back into action. And then you gotta go to Atlanta and Kansas City. So I think this is smart to get him back week 10, kind of ease him back in.
Yeah, definitely. And that brings us to the comments of General Manager Joe Hortiz here. Share it on the screen. Let's see. He said, "I'm not making any moves at the deadline. The proof's in the pudding that we like our guys. We like the players on this team and the direction that this team is going." So what do you think about that?
I mean, I like the confidence in the team. I think, that helps the team chemistry, the morale of the team. It's just my biggest concern is the interior O-line.
Yeah.
And I just wish we could at least replace Trey Pipkins because, like we've said, I mean, he's been with us for some time now, and we haven't really seen much improvement from him. So I would have liked to have seen something done at the deadline, but at the same time, not overpay for someone. So if they weren't getting a good deal, that's the way this team is right now is fine because they're winning, right? They're 5-3. We've seen them go on runs where the offense puts up 20 points, the defense shuts the opposition up, and they're at 10 points. So I'm okay with not making any moves this year. I think as long as Quentin Johnston's out there and healthy, we'll be okay at receiver. But it's just that O-line.
Yeah. I think it's like what we talked about last time. I think they just didn't find the right deal, and they didn't try to force anything. You didn't see any O linemen getting moved at the deadline. And the players that did get moved, it didn't seem like they were going to really be a big difference on this team. Yeah, it'd be great to have Mike Williams back, but DJ Chark is going to be playing that role, and he's a faster player.
Yeah, and I think the price was a little too high for Mike. Also, I was seeing, people saying Chargers are second in line to add Marshawn Lattimore.
Hmm.
Very high, very steep price for Lattimore.
Yeah.
Would have been a great addition, but at the same time, I don't think we need it. As long as these guys stay healthy, as long as we get Fulton back, I don't think we really need it. Um,
No.
I'm not concerned about the defense. It's more the O-line.
Yeah, not with the way these rookie corners are playing out of their
Yeah,
mind right now. And Lattimore also has a hamstring injury recurring that you'd have to worry about too. So
right.
yeah, I think it was smart not to make the move.
Yeah, no, I like this group. They're young, they're hungry, and Derwin's been in the league for a little bit now, so he's kind of their mentor. I really like this group. I think this is Super Bowl defense.
Yeah,
Proof is in the pudding. We have allowed the least amount of points this season. I don't think there was a need for Lattimore or any change in the defense.
yeah,
Um, it's just I hope that the O line can protect Herbert. That's it.
yeah. There is some concern, Junior Colston going to the IR, Simi
Yeah,
Fehoko. Yeah, Colston. Yeah, he's one of those fast linebackers that really helps out that defense, and he started off missing some games with the appendicitis, and then he had a hamstring injury. So it's been a rough start to the season for him, but
yeah,
he's going to be someone that we need for this defense, definitely.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Junior Colson. Even with Michigan, he was very good under Harbaugh. Um, I really like the kid, and he's got a bright future. And 4 weeks IR now. What are we? Week 10, so he'll be back. I think he's going to miss the Chiefs game. He'll be back probably against the Bucks. Um, and obviously, we'll speak more about the Chiefs matchup as the weeks go on. But Pacheco likely is going to return for that game. I think they were saying he could return week 12, but I was looking at their schedule. They play the Panthers week 12, Raiders week 13, and then the Chargers week 14. I think they'll keep him out until week 13 because they play on the road in Carolina. Then they come home against the Raiders. So probably week 13 he'll play limited snap. Week 14, of course, full workload against the Chargers. Nothing new for us. But you need everyone you can get on that defense to stay healthy at least. That's my point about Pacheco, because that Chiefs offense is going to be rocking in Kansas City. I don't think he'll be out there, but I think the rest of those guys just will step up, and we've seen that when he was out the first couple of games. Troy Dye we saw a lot of last week. I think he can continue that momentum. Perriman, he's the leader of that group. But the biggest guy on that inside linebacker it has been Deion Henley. He reminds me of Derwin a lot. Just everywhere on the field, and I love it. And it sucks that we didn't get to see him last year, but it is what it is at this point. But he will be huge for this team going forward.
Yeah, and maybe it's better we didn't see him last year, just for draft picks, uh, and getting rid of Staley and bringing in Harbaugh, Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, he's just a missile, man. He's so
yeah,
fast, like you said, like Derwin. He can cover so much ground, and that's what makes his defense so dangerous.
right,
That stopping the run, just getting to every play they need to. They're not missing tackles like the old Chargers used
right,
to. Um, and and when you see another team like the Browns, you know they finally have this good drive and then interception. This defense comes up big when it needs to, and I
yeah.
I haven't seen a defense this good with the Chargers. I don't think.
I mean, it'll be interesting to get Sean Merriman's take on this because I don't think I have either. Like they'd probably be the closest I've seen, like Cromartie, Merriman, Phillips, and those guys.
Yeah,
Probably the closest I've seen. But this defense is just special. Like this defense truly reminds me of the DeMarcus Ware Broncos defense, but more so the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs Ravens defense, like a championship defense. And it might be crazy to say this is a Super Bowl defense if we don't make the Super Bowl, but you know what? They give us an opportunity to make the Super Bowl, and I think last year we wouldn't be able to say that with the guys that we had and Staley, of course, but this year it's just with Jesse Minter in there too. It just feels like a Super Bowl defense.
It does, and it's scary because you think about it. If Jesse Minter stays around and you add more pieces to this defense next year, it's scary. It's scary. It's scary for the league because what are they going to do when you're holding teams to 12 points and you got Justin Herbert on the other side?
Yeah. And Herbert, he's been getting more pass attempts off, which we did not see at all in the first 4 weeks, I would say. He's getting to the stride now, and this is where he's scary. He doesn't need much to work with. And, now that we didn't make any trades, Ladd's our wide receiver 1, but Johnston can be our wide receiver 1 at times too.
Yeah, it could be 1A, 1B, really.
Yeah. That's the beauty of it. I'm not saying it's going to be like Keenan Allen and Mike Will, but, we brought Mike, when we brought Johnston, we were saying that he's the mini Mike. Now is the time to show that. And then Ladd is in the literal position that Keenan was in, except he's faster. So it could be. It could be.
Yeah, and Johnston's faster than Mike was too. He can't go up with those contested catches like Mike could,
Yeah.
But and we've been excited about DJ Chark, man. That's adding another weapon that people are sleeping on,
Yeah. I think people look at his stats and go, "This guy's not good," but at the same time, where was he in the depth chart? Was he wide receiver 1? No. Wide receiver 2? Maybe like 1 year he was. Usually wide receiver 3, 4, sometimes even 5. Like he wasn't really involved that much in the offenses that he was with, unless you're talking about Carolina, which he was. But who was their quarterback? I don't even remember. Was it Bryce Young last year, right?
Yeah, Bryce Young.
And Bryce Young struggled a lot last year. Yeah. So I don't think you can base it off that. So now he's being given the opportunity to be at least a wide receiver 3, because when he's back, and this is what we were talking about before, like week 3, week 4, when Chark is healthy, who's the odd man out? And right now it seems like it's Palmer, because Johnston has just been so good since he's come back, and also even before he got injured, he was good. And as long as Johnston's not dropping passes, which he hasn't been, hopefully that continues. It seems like Chark is a wide receiver 3, Palmer wide receiver 4, but that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and we've seen Chark, his best season with the Jaguars, he put up 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. So, he has that in him to be a special player.
Yeah, and that Jaguars team, I'm not even sure who was there at the time, but he was not wide receiver 1. I know that, and I don't even think he was wide receiver 2. I'm not entirely sure who the wide receiver core was there, but I know he's never been wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be now, but it's just he's going to get more opportunities now because you don't have that big name type of wide receiver on the team. So I think deep bombs to Chark are going to be fun to watch, and also Jalen Reagor. You have him too, and you could just throw him in there like as a wide receiver 5 at times since Fajoko's out, and just light him up. I would love to see like a second and short, just a deep bomb.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to have that protection. That's the only thing, which is a problem with the interior. But Palmer, hopefully he stays in this role where he's been, where he makes some crucial catches.
Mm-hmm.
Not a ton, but he makes some big catches.
And we've seen, I think, an improvement in both Palmer and Johnston. I think it was the first couple of weeks where Palmer dropped the touchdown pass. But since then, he's been, being able to make clutch catches. So we just need more of that. I mean, a win this week that's 6-3, we'll be in the driver's seat for the playoffs, no doubt, with the rest of the schedule. And I know it's going to be tough weeks 11 through 15, but Bengals should be a win. It's a primetime game now, which I'm really excited about. I love Sunday night football games, and we haven't had any yet. So we have 2 within the span of 3 weeks. So I'm happy about that. And I think the Chiefs game is December 8th. So past Thanksgiving Day. Who do we play that Thanksgiving week, I wonder? I think it's the Falcons. Oh, no, it's the Ravens. We play the Ravens 3 days before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, on Monday night.
Yeah, that'll be really fun. I was saying this, I think, on Monday, actually, how it just lined up perfectly. Harbaugh against Harbaugh, Thanksgiving week, and then Dobbins and Edwards, playing against their former team. That lined up perfectly for the Chargers. But yeah, it's going to be a tough stretch after Sunday. So you got to get this win out of the way. 6-3 going into Sunday Night Football prime time against the Bengals, and the Bengals play tonight. Could very well end up with the loss there. And T. Higgins not playing yet. So if T. Higgins is out against Chargers, they're going to have a big problem. And that's going to be a real test, in my opinion, for the CBs, even if Higgins is out, because you're going to have to face Jamar Chase. And I'm not even sure if they face someone better this year than Jamar Chase. Maybe Devontae Adams, but that's about it.
Olave was good.
Yeah. Olave is a different type of player. I think he's more like an Adams than a Chase. So I think, because they're going to go deep to Chase usually. And Chargers have done a good job with those deep passes, deflecting them and, getting in their way and not allowing big plays to happen. So I think it's a big test for them.
Yeah, with the exception of the Chiefs, that long bomb to Worthy. Yeah.
I think they've come a long way, to be honest, since then. Like, that was week 4, and we're week 10 now. They've come a long way because we haven't really seen that. But Olave did find his way and made the catches look easy than it should be, I think. But I don't think that'll happen often with this team. And it shouldn't happen Sunday. I know Calvin Ridley's been more involved in the offense. They just got to contain him. And I think going to the keys to the game, that's number 1. Contain Calvin Ridley. Don't let him have a big game. Because if he has a big game, then, it'll be close. Number 2 is don't let Tony Pollard get loose. Those are the 2 guys on that offense where they can make something happen. So don't let that happen. And, of course, keep Tyler Boyd in check because, he can make some big plays too. I know he's gotten older, but he can still maneuver around that defense. And number 3, protect Herbert. Please just protect the quarterback.
Yeah, that's the whole season right there. If you can't protect Herbert, it's rough seeing him get sacked 6 times in the first half, and seeing him get bent back. And he's playing at such a high level right now. The stats don't really fully show you, unless you're watching these games, just how accurate he's been. I can't think of any other quarterback playing really at this level right now.
Not with the way they're pressuring Herbert. I don't see any. I mean, the good quarterbacks, they have a lot of time to throw, except for Herbert. It's just, and last year we saw that with the Bengals. Burrow didn't have time to throw. Burrow was being, killed out there, and he was struggling. And not like they haven't struggled this year. as a team. They haven't been that great this year as a team. But just the fact that Herbert's being able to get those throws off, touchdown throws, it's just special.
It is. And let's, for me, I want to get pressure on Mason Rudolph, make him make mistakes, and hopefully Bosa is out there for more snaps again, because when he's out there, we get more pressure.
Yeah.
It seems like Thule gets to the ball more often, and we need that. I mean, we saw that against the Browns. We did get pressure, and look how that affected Jameis Winston, who was playing lights out before that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, get pressure. I want to see them try to get DJ Chark involved. Just to have an extra weapon that the teams have to worry about. Then they have to game plan for that. If Chark gets even just one long bomb, then that's less stacking the box for other teams.
Yeah.
And and get J.K. Dobbins, running again. I know he had 85 yards, 2 touchdowns last game. Let's try to get him over 100 yards so we can, protect Herbert and run out the clock more, because it doesn't seem like the kind of game where we're going to be down. Let's run the ball and keep Herbert from getting injured.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only games where Dobbins struggled were the Chiefs, Steelers, and possibly the Cardinals. And granted, Cardinals game should have been over 100 yards rushing, but it wasn't. For whatever reason, they just woke up that day. It could have been prime time. It could have been home game, whatever it is. But he'll take advantage of the opportunities that he sees on that field, as we've seen. And with Gus back, I think now he'll kind of return to form. Dobbins will, as we saw the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, well, I think that Cardinals game, they were stacking the box. They had a good game plan. They had all their guys ready, and we didn't have. I believe we didn't have Johnston that game.
We didn't have Johnston. I don't even think we had Palmer.
Yeah, we didn't have Palmer, and Ladd was banged up too.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So
and Disley, they were like the heroes of that game. And you just mentioned Bosa. It got me thinking just now. Khalil Mack, he's getting up there in age and could retire sooner than later. I would love for this team to make a run for him. I know we talk about rebuild, this and that. We're 5-3 right now. If this is a rebuild, great. We can rebuild because we didn't make any changes during the deadline. So we're still rebuilding, but we're also making a push to the playoffs. And I love that, so let's just try and win this for Mac. And he could probably give it 2 or 3 more years, but he's just playing at such a high level right now. Let's go out there and win it for him.
Yeah, for Mac, for Bosa, who's the last original San Diego Charger here. Even Derwin, man, even Derwin, who's it would be so great to see this group of guys. You see it in these videos the Chargers post.
Yeah,
just how they love playing for each other and how much passion they have, and just seem like good dudes, man. And just you want it for them,
Yeah, I think this year the biggest difference is that they're hungry. They're hungry. They have a younger group who's good. These guys can play, and you don't see that much throughout the NFL. Bengals defense is pretty weak, for example, and that's what's really costing them games more than the offense. So you need that defense to step up, no matter what team you are. Kansas City has had a good defense. They also have Andy Reid, right? So you need those types of players in place to win Super Bowls. And I think with this defensive group, you had that opportunity. My only pause, again, is just that O-line. And if they can just step it up just a little bit, just give Herbert an extra second to throw, we will be even better than 5-3 right now.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the Ravens team with Ray Lewis. This defense has been on that par, and if it holds up, especially against a team like the Ravens, who has such a great offense, then you really have to think about the Super Bowl, because the Ravens had, they won the Super Bowl with, what was it, Trent Dilfer, different Joe Flacco, and you got Justin Herbert over there, way better than those guys.
Yeah, and that offense didn't even carry them. It was the defense that carried them. I remember that season very well. Even the Seahawks season, right, when they should have run the ball with Marshawn Lynch. That defense was just incredible, and they made the Super Bowl. Just a Russell Wilson screw up that cost them, but they should have won that Super Bowl. So I'm not saying we're the Legion of Boom, but we're close. They're just special, and the numbers don't lie. I think we have a good chance. And if we can go into Monday Night Football 7-3, and then beat the Ravens on top of that, can you imagine? That would be crazy.
It would, and then, yeah, you just got to keep the momentum rolling. One game at a time. Let's dominate the Titans.
Yeah, it all starts Sunday, because if you lose Sunday, you're back to square one, kind of, at 5-4. You don't want to be 5-4. Not in this AFC. The Colts are 4-5. They're not even in the playoffs. The Broncos, I believe, they're 5-4, and they're at 7. So they're literally last in the playoffs right now. So not only do you want to win to get ahead of the Broncos, you want to win to not be outside of that bubble. And I believe the Broncos, I'm not sure who they play this week, but their schedule, regardless, is going to be a lot tougher the second half of the season. I heard that Audric Esime is going to get a heavier workload now going forward. Kind of expected that when he came back from the IR, but didn't see it. But I guess Sean Payton wanted to roll with Javonte Williams a little bit more. He played a little bit better too, Williams. But now it's Esime's time. And I think it'll benefit the Broncos, but it's still going to be a tough road ahead for them. I would love to see Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers in the playoffs. And I'm curious if it is Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers. And let's say the Chargers and Broncos somehow both make it out of the wild card. I'm guessing the Chiefs will play the Broncos in the divisional because they're last, Chiefs are first.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because division games are always tough, no matter, if the team is struggling, and then you get a situation in the playoffs with, the Broncos with a good defense, that would be fun to watch. Yeah.
I think as long as we can get ahead of the Steelers, and I'm saying Steelers because I think Ravens take over that AFC ranking over the Steelers. If we can get to 5th and play the Texans first round, that's our best bet into advancing. I love CJ Stroud. I'm a huge fan of his, but without Diggs, Collins still not 100%. That defense not looking that great. That is our best bet to get past the wild card, in my opinion. I'm not saying the other teams we can't get past, just that these guys are probably going to be the easiest route to get to the divisional at the least.
Yeah. Currently, they look like a team that's struggling. I'm seeing in my fantasy football leagues, I've seen a lot of people drop CJ Stroud.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are one QB leagues?
Yeah, one QB leagues.
Okay. I mean, still.
It's still like, wow. But he's been struggling, without those receivers.
Yeah.
People expected such high, they had such high expectations after that great rookie season.
Yeah.
And but Herbert did the same thing, but he kept it going his sophomore season,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how good Herbert is. And Stroud was an MVP conversation last year. He should have been, right? But now with just Tank Dell on the field for him, he can't do much. It's unfortunate because, again, I'm a fan of his. But I think once they get Nico Collins back, he'll get back into stride because Collins is his favorite target.
Yeah.
Even with Diggs on the field, Collins was his go-to. So I think that's what's hurting him more than Diggs being out. But in terms of a playoff match, you want that. You want Diggs to be out because now you can focus on Collins, and yeah, you can focus on Dell, but your best CB on Collins, and you likely get the win there, and go on to the divisional. So it looks like they can clinch the division because of Colts lost last game too, and their schedule is not that easy either. And we just got to keep winning because even if we win and stay at 3 losses, and the Chiefs are still at or 1 or whatever, if we had them at loss, doesn't matter. They're still going to be the winners of the AFC West. So yeah, I think 5th place I'll be happy with. Just not a Jaguars type of game again during the wild card, because that still haunts us Chargers fans. But I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, it's a new era with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I don't see that type of game happening again, and not with this defense either. You go from one of the worst defenses to the best now, and a competent coach.
Yeah.
So yeah, expectations are high right now, and they should be.
They should be. And what's again, like, this was supposed to be a rebuild for us, and I like OKC, for example. Let's just go to the NBA real quick. They were in a rebuild and they made the playoffs. They made a run in the playoffs. That's how I see ourselves. We got some veterans, but we got mainly young guys who, again, want it. They want to win. And I love that. And I think we can really make a run. It's just we have to get over that hump of the wild card. And once Herbert gets over that hump and gets that playoff win, then the narrative is he hasn't won a Super Bowl. Right? And we've spoken about this too. It's just never ending. And then when he wins the Super Bowl, he hasn't won MVP. It's just always going to be something. But more importantly, we just need the championships. And I think if not this year, next year, definitely, they're getting positioned for it. Because next year, let's not forget, T. Higgins is a free agent.
Yeah, we have something crazy like 75 million in cap space next year.
Yeah.
You think what Joe Ortiz has done with with no cap space, pretty much.
I mean, I think they immediately, if this O-line does not correct itself, immediately they upgrade that interior, and then they focus on the others. But T. Higgins could be a real shot for us. I believe we're either second or third in the odds right now to get him, or tied for first, something like that. So there's a possibility.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see what this team does, and with more draft picks, we've seen how Ortiz nailed the draft too. And you're gonna have to pay some guys like J.K. Dobbins. You're gonna have to pay him. And a few other guys who've really outperformed what their contracts were.
And I think they should, because we saw what unfortunately Eckler couldn't find his own running the ball. He was more of a pass catcher, but RBs are undervalued in the league because of injuries. They get paid less. We've seen that with star RBs in the past. So maybe we can strike a deal with Dobbins that's favorable for both player and team. And I think that should be the way forward. And then either you keep Gus or you get a bigger back, because you need a big back no matter what. I'm a huge fan of Kimani Vidal. It's just, unfortunately, we got Dobbins at the same time, and they're about the same kind of type of player. So it's just hard to find time for him, unless there's an injury, of course.
Yeah. Gus said he had a high ankle sprain, and he's saying he feels better now than before the injury. So let's hope that's true, because if he can run better than he was those first 2 weeks when we were still having the success.
Yeah.
That's going to
I
be
hope
huge.
so. I really hope so, because that also lightens the burden on Herbert. Yeah. And again, I know fans will complain that, he's not throwing as much, this and that, but as long as we're winning, again, it doesn't matter.
Just get that win. Let's get that win on Sunday against the Titans. And remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and go to Underdog Fantasy, promo code BOLT. They'll match up to $1,000. And bolt up.
Go Chargers.
Go Chargers. All right, see ya.
Yeah.